the history of that state. You just don't think it's going to...
What up? If not Randy Rhoads, then who? That's my question for today, because, you know, and it kind of goes out to some of my subscribers that are older than me. I'd like to hear from you guys, you know, who you thought were the greatest guitar players of that time. And I'm not really talking about the people who were well known. I mean, George Lynch was a linchpin for Ozzy's band. In fact, I think at one point he was told he had the job. But some of the, I'd like to hear, you know, unknown guitars that were just phenomenal at the time and maybe never made it, you know. Because as much as it pains me to say this, there are certainly guitar players out there just as good, if not better, than Randy Rhoads, even today, right? My Uncle Cody used to talk about the Nashville studio musicians. He said there's nobody better, you know. Those guys they're amazing. They're true professionals. And I've always known that to be true from everything I know about those studio musicians. Not that I know a lot of them or a lot about them, but I've always known that much to be true, that you had to be an absolute professional and know your shit, right? So, but in getting back to this, you think about, you know, Randy was not even going to go to the audition. You know, he wasn't really giddy about it. It was his mother that pushed him to go to audition for Ozzy's band, you know, and even then, you know, he was trying to get out of it. He's telling Ozzy's people, look, you know, I got to work, I give lessons during the day, and then I got band practice, and of course they were like, doesn't matter, you know, we're auditioning a million people, whenever you make it over here, make it over. And, you know, he was happy with what he was doing with Quiet Riot. Now, you know, here's something to think about. You know, Mental Health would have been a completely different album, right? Perhaps maybe would have never been made. Perhaps we would have never heard of Randy, you know? I don't know. It's hard. It's really hard to say. You know, I think it's probably a lot, if Randy didn't do what he did with Ozzy's band, it's way more likely or unlikely that Quiet Riot would have got a deal. So, you know, you think about that too. Had they gotten a deal, Mental Health would have been a completely different album. And we would have all been singing the praises of Randy and Quiet Riot, right? And then, you know, we have the other side of it, the Ozzy side of it, where, you know, Ozzy told Randy he got the job, and then he went back to Europe. And he gets back to England, and you know, he tells them, you know, I know that I found this great guitar player, and Jet Records said, no, we'll find somebody. We'll find a European guy. It'll be a better fit overall for the band and for everything else. We'll find a European guy. And you know, after more auditions in Europe, you know, Ozzy kept saying, you know, I know this great guitar player. So, you know, Jet Records just about put the kibosh on Randy too. So, had it not been Randy, who would it be? You know, who would it have been? You know, it's likely somebody we don't know about now that is and was a great guitar player. You know, I know a guy here on YouTube, and in fact, I wonder about, he has a bunch of audio. He took lessons from Randy Rhoads. He has a bunch of audio of his lessons, because they would tape record the lessons, and, you know, Randy would tell them, you know, we'll record it, take it home and practice it, and then I'll see you next week or whatever. And so he has a ton of that, and he also has a lot of bootleg footage, live footage, that he was putting on the market. And I told him, I said, you better be careful, man. The Osborne machine catches wind of it, and they're not going to be thrilled. As far as I know, he is now taking that off the market. It's not because it's sold. I'm sure something might have happened. I'd be surprised if any of my subscribers know who I'm talking about. I'll give you guys a shot to name him in the comments. And if you can't, I'll tell you who he is. He's a pretty cool guy. But he's just got a little YouTube channel. But he has a ton of Randy footage, Ozzy footage, live footage, and then, like I said, he has a bunch of audio of lessons that has never been heard by anyone. I heard some of it, and I watched some of it, and it was really cool. I had to promise him that I wouldn't record it, and I didn't, and I wish I would have, because it'd be cool to have. Not because I want to sell it, just to have it, man. You know, I mean, Randy's my guy, right? But I think the question is a good one, and I'd like to hear from you guys, and more likely the guys a little older than me, who were, you know, kind of that age, where and maybe in that scene. My guy here on YouTube, he was in that scene. He knows all those people from back in the day, that were in the circle of Randy Rhoads and all those guys, and he's, you know, I guess probably Randy's age now. So I would be interested, not like I said, not the mainstream guys that we all know. You know, I want to know the guys that nobody's heard of before. Maybe even today they have a YouTube channel or something where we can go check them out, and it's like, wow, you know, look at this fucking phenomenal guitar player, and he probably never made it, you know. So yeah, if not Randy Rhoads, who would it have been? You tell me. And I will look forward to the comments and see what you guys have to say. And also, like I said, if you can name the guy I'm talking about, his YouTube channel, in the comments section, I will make sure you're known and pinned. Otherwise, I'll let you guys know in a couple days. All right? Till next time, peace out.